Good afternoon. My name is Sheila Timberlake. I am a paralegal with Lone Star Legal Aid. I work in the Longview office. Lone Star Legal Aid is a nonprofit law firm providing free civil legal services to eligible applicants. In celebration of the work that many volunteers, attorneys across the nation provide to our system of justice, to our communities, and most of all, to the clients they serve, this week has been set aside on a national, state, and local level to honor and thank them for the work they do. Today's presentation is intended to serve as legal information only and does not replace legal advice. For more information, contact Lone Star Legal Aid at 1-800-733-8394, or you can contact us on our webpage at www.lonestarlegal.org for more information and for legal assistance. I am pleased to be joined this afternoon by the Honorable Tim Bryan, who is the Justice of the Peace, Precinct Number 2 in Gregg County, Texas, and Mr. David Hagan, who is an attorney in the East Texas area. Good afternoon to both Judge Bryan and to Attorney Hagan. Our first presenter will be Judge Bryan, who will speak to us providing a judicial perspective of the occupational license process, after which we will receive the occupational process by Attorney Hagan. We are now in the hands of Judge Bryan.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Timberlake, and thank you for the opportunity to visit with y'all today. Again, my name is Tim Bryan. I'm a judge in Longview or in Gregg County over the Precinct 2 Justice Court. I'm not an attorney. Justices of the peace in Texas don't have to be attorneys, and so my information may be different, or just the knowledge that I have is only based on my experience as a justice of the peace, and then also through our partners at the Texas Justice Court Training Center is where we get our where we receive our guidance from. I've been in law enforcement in the Gregg County area or the East Texas area for about the last 25 years. And so I was glad to see when the opportunity came for the Justice Court to have jurisdiction over, or have some jurisdiction over, occupational licenses. And I felt that it was necessary, and I felt that it was the best move for them to make, because I think that when people need to have an occupational license, I think that Justice Court is a great platform for that, because it makes, I think historically, and even by its inception or the creation of Justice Court, it makes justice accessible and quickly accessible to Texans. And so I think that our ability to have jurisdiction over occupational licenses, or many of them, I think that was a great move that our legislature made several years ago. So in Longview, I'm not sure of the other counties that you serve, but in Gregg County, it is a filing fee of $46, and then you have to be a resident of Gregg County to be eligible for an occupational license in Gregg County, and it has to be anything that is not a conviction of a higher charge, like if someone has a DWI or even higher charges where the suspension or their driver's license was suspended for a higher charge, then they have to go to that court where they received that charge to get an occupational license from that court. So a lot of times citations, or like insurance citations, or no driver's license citations, or things like that, are reasons that we have and also pre-adjudication. So if someone had a DWI, or if they're charged with a DWI and they had a breath or blood specimen refusal, and they have an ALR suspension, so we can do that also pre-adjudication. We can give them or award them a occupational license if that's necessary. I know in speaking to many judges that sometimes it's not very clear, or not that it's not clear. Sometimes their opinions vary, or our opinions vary, and as I'm sure that you all will find in many cases. But sometimes judges won't allow someone, or won't award someone an occupational license, like if they have a long driving history, or if they have I've heard judges say it depends on their criminal record, or it depends on other factors. And so I don't agree with that. I think that the law is very clear. I feel that if someone is eligible, for the occupational license. I feel if they jump through those hoops, so to speak, if they get that SR22 and they get their driving record and they have a need for it, I think that it's incumbent upon me to award them that so that they can drive legally, so that we have them in compliance with what the law allows for that. So that's my opinion. I know that some judges don't operate that way. I also think that the 12-hour, I know there's a 12-hour maximum. It's what my understanding is, or that's what the law says. And so I try to whittle down the times that someone would need to drive. And so the only time that I've ever had issues with the opportunity for them to drive is like if someone's on call all the time. Sometimes I have people that may have a job that requires them to be on call and they may need to drive it anytime. And so those are circumstances where I have them have a logbook and have them keep up with the logbook, understanding that if they're stopped and when law enforcement discovers that they have an occupational license, they'll be required to show that logbook, and it will need to be up to date. And so I try to do that as well. I think that the opinions vary about issuing occupational licenses. Another problem that I've seen a few times is the jurisdiction for an occupational license is that someone can go to any justice of the peace court in the county in which they reside if they're eligible for an occupational license. So even if someone does not live in my precinct, if they live in the county where my court is at, then they can get a license in any justice of the peace court in that area or in that county. And so I know sometimes they're justice of the peace court that believes that they only issue to people who are in their precinct, and that's not what the jurisdiction is. The law says it can be any court in that county. So I issue those. One thing that I've seen about occupational licenses, there's an opinion, and I don't know, Mr. Hagan may relate some information about this. There are some courts that have an opinion that if someone got a no insurance ticket, let's say in West Texas, they feel that because that court in West Texas is the one who suspended the person's license, that they should have to go to that court to get the occupational license. That's not my belief. My belief is, again, Texas Justice of the Peace Court was created to make justice accessible and easier for people to access. And I think that if someone lives in our county, even though the violation, unless it's in that higher court, unless it's a DWI or a intoxication assault or a higher charge, I think that it's the justice court's responsibility to make it easy for them to be in compliance with what the law says. So I do issue. I've never had, I've never had a license come back and then and for DPS to say, well, you didn't have the authority or jurisdiction to issue that. So I'm assuming that those things are acceptable. I think it just seems like the state, I think, wants to make it easier on people to be in compliance and to be legal while they're operating a vehicle in Texas. So that's pretty much my part of that, Ms. Timberlake. I'll answer any questions that anybody has if there is any.
And
I was
Judge,
monitoring the.
Judge, I'll just jump in to tell you that you're 100% right on that last point that you made. And the law is very clear that when you're dealing with a driver's license suspension, and I'll go into this probably in more detail in my lecture, but when you're dealing with a driver's license suspension, it's not the result of a conviction of a Class B misdemeanor or higher offense. The court that you need to file it in is any court in the county that you reside in. So in fact, if somebody got suspended for no DL out in West Texas, if they tried to go out in West Texas and file in JP court out there, they would not be able to do that. That would not be a competent court of jurisdiction because it's not the court in the county that they reside in. So you're 100% right in that.
Well, I just know, Mr. Hagan, I know that people have came to our court and said that other places had told them to come there because that's where the conviction was at. And so it just, I know that our inconsistencies in justice court, sometimes I know kind of muddy the water a little bit. But thank you I mean, I figured that was correct. It just makes sense. It just made good sense that when people are trying to be compliant with justice court, I think, with they're trying to be compliant with their driver's license, I just think that we should make it easier and not harder on people to be in compliance.
100%.
All right, Miss Timberlake, was that? Is there anything else that you, or is there anything you may have a question about, or anything else that you'd like me to cover?
Judge, there are no questions in our chat or online, and I believe that when Mr. Hagan will cover the process, and I think that if there are some questions there, I think that he will be able to cover them. But we want to thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Okay, again, thank you very much for this opportunity, and forgive me, I do have to go back to my class, but I appreciate the opportunity, and if I may be of assistance to anybody, I'm in Longview, Texas, and so you can call me, and I'll be glad to try to help you as much as I can. And so anyway, thank you very much, Ms. Timberlake.
Thank you. Have a great evening, Judge.
Thank you.
Our next presentation will be from Dave Hagan. He's attorney here in the East Texas area. Thank you, Mr. Hagan.
Thank you, Sheila. I appreciate you. I'm going to hopefully share the screen with y'all and get my presentation going. Hopefully we'll do that. Okay. I hope y'all can all see on your screens occupational driver's licenses, the slide there. I'm sure that if you can't, they will let me know and we can fix it. But my name is David Hagan. I'm an attorney in Longview, Texas. I'm a personal injury attorney now, but in the past, I've been a criminal defense lawyer. I've been a solo practitioner, and I've been a prosecutor as well, an assistant district attorney. So I kind of got my start in practicing criminal law, and then moved on, and now I do more civil cases, but I still keep my toe in the criminal aspects of it. And when I was practicing criminal law, occupational driver's license and driver's license suspensions were one of the most common problems that a lot of my clients had. So that's what we're going to be talking to you about today, the process and how you can go about getting an occupational driver's license. I think it's important to understand that if you don't address a suspension on your driver's license, that can snowball on you real quick. And, it can turn from a little problem into a big problem where you're facing massive amounts of fines and court costs and eventually jail time, because in Texas, driver's license suspensions are tickets for driving on a suspended driver's license. That first one is a fine-only offense. But after you get convicted of the first one, all the subsequent ones you might get, you can be charged with a Class B misdemeanor, which is punishable by up to 6 months in jail. And it's possible to enhance it further to a Class A misdemeanor, although that very rarely happens. But so it's important, if you got a suspension on your driver's license, to get it addressed. If you need an occupational license, get an occupational license. If you need to set up payment plans, and that's the reason why your license is suspended, just because you've got a bunch of defaulted payment plans or you've got failure to appear, go take care of those things. Get your license good, because if you don't, it will snowball and it becomes much, much harder the longer you let it sit. So with that, let's take a look at occupational driver's licenses. So the general overview: if your license is suspended or revoked, you can still drive under certain circumstances, but you've got to get an occupational driver's license. An ODL is a special restricted license that lets you drive non-commercial vehicles for certain essential activities, work, school, taking care of the household, things like that. To get an occupational driver's license, you got to get a court order authorizing DPS, the Texas Department of Public Safety, to issue you an occupational driver's license. So when you go to court, they're not the ones that give you a driver's license. They give you an order saying that you can get an occupational driver's license. You then have to get that order to DPS. They'll give you the driver's license. And we'll cover the details of that here in a little bit, but understand that's the general process. This process can take a while. It doesn't happen, overnight, and it can get complicated. Sometimes, it's something that pro se individuals, non-represented individuals can do. It's possible. But if you ever feel like you're in over your head, you don't understand what's required of you, what you have to show, it's a good idea to reach out to a lawyer to help you determine if you're eligible, what you need to do. Reach out to your local legal aid group, and if you need legal assistance, get legal assistance. So these are the governing laws that control this process. Transportation Code, Chapter 521, Subchapter L, 521. That's the part of the Transportation Code, has a lot to do with occupational driver's licenses. Same with Chapter 601, Texas Health and Safety Code 469.009, and then Texas Transportation Code, Title 7. Subtitle B, chapters 521 and chapter 708. And just, I'm telling you these, I don't expect y'all to go out and have them memorized, but if it comes up, these are kind of the statutes that control this process. So if you need to reference them, those are the ones you want to check out. All right, so what is an occupational driver's license? An occupational driver's license, restricted license, lets you drive certain times, on certain days, under certain conditions, for essential needs. And when we say essential needs, we mean basically to do your job, to get to and from work or school, or to do quote unquote essential household duties. Essential household duties are going to the grocery store, going to pick up medications. If you've got an invalid relative that you care for, maybe taking them to the doctor's office, things like that. Those are essential household duties. All right, so when is an occupational driver's license not available? And you get this from the various statutes that we talked about, but you can't get an occupational driving license if you lost your driving privileges or you got your license suspended because of a mental or physical disability. Essentially, if the state of Texas has said you can't drive because of some physical or mental condition, putting you behind the wheel is unsafe, they're not going to give you an occupational license. They just won't. If you lost your driving privileges, if you got your license suspension because you failed to pay child support, that's generally not one that they're going to let you get an occupational license for. They're not going to give you an occupational driver's license that's anything other than a Class C license. So this next one is, if you need to drive a commercial vehicle that requires a Class A or Class B license, occupational license is not going to do it. Those licenses are still going to be suspended. You can drive regular vehicles, non-commercial vehicles, but you won't be able to drive a commercial vehicle. If the court reviews your application or your petition for an occupational driver's license and they determine you don't have an essential need, they don't have to give you a driver's license. Judge is worried about public safety. Again, courts have a lot of discretion or a certain amount of discretion when it comes to this. I think Judge Bryan talked about how he knows some judges won't issue occupationals if somebody's got a massive criminal history or a massive driving record. You know, that is, unfortunately, they can do that under this public safety exception. You know, if they make that finding. If you've received 2 occupational DLs in the past 10 years after a conviction for a qualifying offense, so like DWI, something like that, most of those intox type charges, or if you have a hard suspension waiting period due to a prior DWI arrest or conviction. So a lot of times if you get a DWI, 2 DWIs within, you know, close proximity to each other, there's a mandatory hard suspension and a waiting period that you have to sit without a license, and they won't give you an occupational during that time. Want to talk to y'all briefly about surcharges. This is not as much of a problem as it used to be because of the change in the law about 2 years ago. But for a long time, the surcharge problem was the biggest contributor to why people had suspended driver's licenses. If you had surcharges, your surcharges should have been wiped out as of September 1st, 2019. If you think that they haven't, I'd encourage you to talk to a lawyer about it. If your license was suspended solely due to surcharges, it should have been automatically reinstated. If it wasn't, it's most likely because you had to pay a reinstatement fee for some other suspension that you may have gotten in the past, or it's been suspended for so long that you now have to retake your driving exam. Those are kind of situations where, you know, it's not going to automatically reinstate because of surcharges. For anybody that's never had surcharges, don't worry about this part. It's not going to affect you because, like I said, the program is gone. So let's talk about how you get your occupational driver's license. First thing you need to do is figure out, are you eligible for an occupational driver's license? So I've got this link right here. It goes to the Texas government's website that's solely designed to check your driver's license eligibility. So you get there, you type in your driver's license number, your date of birth, the last 4 of your social, and the immediate following screen that's going to pop up, there's going to be a paragraph that's in bold lettering, and in all caps, it's going to say somewhere in that paragraph either eligible or not eligible. You want to look for that. If it says eligible, you do not qualify for an occupational driver's license. But that's a good thing because that means your license doesn't have any holds on it. It doesn't have any active suspensions on it. So you can go and pay a reinstatement fee and your driver's license should be good to go. Also on that DL eligibility page, it also will list, you know, if you've got any medical or physical holds on, or medical holds on your license, or if you've got, you know, any failure to appears or default on payment agreements, or if you've got a reinstatement fee that you owe on, it'll tell you all that information on there. And if you owe money, I believe that there's a place to pay it on that website. If you don't want to write down that long URL, if you just Google Texas DL eligibility, it's going to be like the first thing that pops up. And in fact, that's how I find it most of the time. I just Google that and it's about the first thing that pops up. The main thing you want to look for is make sure the website is texas.gov. As long as it's got that .gov in there, you're probably set. All right. So then the next thing you want to do after you see that you need an occupational is you want to make sure you're not disqualified from having an occupational for those reasons we talked about earlier. The last thing you want to do is you prepare to file for your occupation. And to do that, you need to get the following documents. You need a petition in order. You need a certified abstract of your driving record. You need some proof that you have an essential need to be driving. You need your SR 22 form. And if it's applicable, if you don't, if you're indigent, you don't have sufficient income to pay the filing fees, you need an affidavit of indigency. Your local legal aid group will have those for you. That's where you can get those. I'm going to talk about how you get the rest of these documents next. So the first thing you need to do is get your petition in order and get them ready. In order to get an occupational, the first thing you got to do is, or one of the things you have to do is file a petition asking for permission to get an occupation. This petition needs to explain why you need an occupational, why your driver's license was suspended essentially, for how long it was suspended, that you're not disqualified from having an occupational, that you have an essential need to drive. It's also where you're going to, request your driving schedule from the court. They're going to set the hours and times that you can drive. What you need to do is attach your certified abstracted driving record, your SR 22, and the proof that you need to drive. You got to attach those to your petition as exhibits. So you label the first one Exhibit A, you label the next one Exhibit B, and so on. You're going to file the affidavit of indigency at the same time as your petition. You're going to file your proposed order granting you an occupational at the same time as your petition. And yeah, you gotta type up your own proposed order as well. The court's not going to do that for you. You need to prepare a proposed order. And you have to file your petition and all that other stuff in the court that suspended your driver's license if it was suspended due to a conviction for a Class B misdemeanor or higher. If it wasn't suspended for a Class B misdemeanor or higher, you file your petition in your local JP court. You can file in other courts in your county. So you can file in the county court at law. You can even file in the district court. They all have jurisdiction, but the filing fees are much more expensive. Judge talked about in Longview in his JP court, it's like a $46 filing fee. It is much more expensive in the other courts that I mentioned, the district court, the county court of law, and so on. So you want to file in a JP court if you can. The times that you can't are if you were convicted of driving while intoxicated. And because of that conviction, your driver's license got suspended. If that's what happened, you got to go to that court that your DWI was in. That's the only court that can give you an occupation. If you got your driver's license suspended because of a dope charge and a felony dope charge in district court, a lot of people don't realize this. In Texas, dope charges and marijuana charges come with a mandatory 6-month driver's license suspension upon conviction. If you get deferred, it doesn't happen, but if you get regular probation or you get pen time or jail time, you're going to get a 6 months driver's license suspension. If that happens, you're going to have to file in the district court for your occupation. So it's very important to recognize those distinctions. But most of the time, these suspensions, they come from Class C type tickets, or they come from ALR suspensions, administrative suspensions as a result of failing an alcohol test, on a DWI stop, or refusing an alcohol test. Either one of those will get your driver's license suspended, but you can file for an occupational and those types of suspensions in your local JP court. As far as just going back, talking about where you get your abstract from, your SR 22, I'm going to get to that in a second. There's a couple of websites for both of those things, but we'll cover those in a second. I want to talk briefly about Ignition Interlock occupational driver's license. The occupationals I'm talking about in this lecture are not Ignition Interlock licenses. It's a different type of occupational than what we're talking about here. The ones we're talking about here, I just refer to them as regular occupational driver's licenses. So if your driver's license has been suspended because of an alcohol-related offense, you can get an ignition interlock license instead of a regular occupational. This is a special type of occupational that lets you drive anywhere, anytime. And in fact, a lot of judges will refer to them as anywhere, anytime licenses. But the caveat is you got to have the ignition interlock device installed and maintained in your car. That's the thing that you have to breathe into whenever you start up the car, otherwise it won't run. These devices are expensive and they're difficult to remove. You got to get a court order to put the machine in your car, and then you got to get a court order to get the machine out of your car. So even if you're done with probation, they won't take the people that install the machine, they won't take it out of your car unless you get an order from the court telling them to, which is a pain and it's expensive. For those reasons, if you're not already required to have an ignition interlock device on your vehicle, I do not recommend getting this type of driver's license because it's going to be too expensive and it's too much of a hassle, and you end up having to do more paperwork down the road and it costs you more money. So I don't recommend it unless you're already required to have a machine in your car, then you might as well. But if you're not already required to have a machine in the car, don't get this kind of license. So certified abstracted driving record. What are we talking about? This is it's a document that's prepared by the DPS that is a list of all of your transgressions against the traffic code, essentially. Every ticket you ever got, every wreck that was reported to law enforcement that you've ever been in, every driver's license suspension that you've ever received. All that's on your certified abstracted driving record. The way you get those is you go to this DPS website, dps.texas.gov/driver's license/driver records.htm. You go there and that has the instructions for requesting a driving record either online or by mail. It's very important that you get the certified abstract of driving record. There's a whole bunch of other options. That's the one you want, the certified abstract. It's going to cost you $22 if you purchase it online, $20 if you mail in for a copy of it. When you get the abstract, you need to make 2 copies of it. And we'll get into why later, but you want to have 2 copies of it in addition to the original, so that you have 3 total. And you just run them through Xerox or something like that to make the copies. All right, SR22 forms, what are they? This is a special form that you get from an insurance company. So this is not a form you get from the government. You get this from an insurance company. And it verifies that you've got the minimum limits of insurance necessary to get an occupational driver's license. Okay, especially if your driver's license was suspended because of a DWI, do not get this form from your regular insurance company. They will 100% use this as an excuse to raise your insurance rates, to raise your premiums, to charge you more for your car insurance. Instead, there's lots of insurance companies online that all they do are these SR22s. That's the only type of insurance that they carry is SR22 insurance. And it's cheap. It's really not that expensive. What I recommend is you maintain your regular insurance, like, with whatever insurance company you use. And then on top of it, you get some SR22 insurance from one of these companies. And you can just Google SR22 insurance. I've listed one on here that I've recommended in the past to my clients, but it's not particularly special. Shop around, get the cheapest one available, and just have it in addition to your regular insurance. Get the SR22 from that special SR22 insurance company, and keep your regular policy active at the same time. Try and only buy as much SR22 insurance as you need for the period of your suspension. So if your suspension's only 3 months, don't pay for a 6-month policy. If you can do it month by month, do it like that. And then cancel as soon as you don't, as soon as you get your regular driver's license reinstated. All right, so how do you get to the point where you've got an order granting you an occupational DL? So after you file your petition with all those things attached to it, you need to ask the clerk of the court that you filed in for a hearing, if the court requires a hearing. Some courts do, some courts don't. Most of them do. This is where you really want to go either in person or at least call down to the court that you filed in and talk to the clerk and see how the judge of that court likes these things to be done. Especially if you're in JP court, they can't give you legal advice, but they will kind of hold your hand through the process a little bit. They're not going to help you draft anything, but you bring your stuff and they will help you get it filed and help you set your hearing date. When you go to your hearing, bring copies of your petition, the exhibits to your petition, and your proposed order. Bring copies of those with you. If the state shows up and they say they're going to contest your petition for an occupational, what you need to do is ask the court to reset your case and go get a lawyer. After the court grants your petition, you need to ask the clerk of that court for a certified copy of the petition. And you don't need the exhibits attached to that certified copy, just the petition is fine. And then you need 2 certified copies of the order. It's very important that you get all of these documents certified copies and not just regular copies. It's a little bit more expensive, but you have to do it. Otherwise, this whole process has been for nothing. You've got to get one certified copy of your petition, 2 certified copies of the order granting you an occupation. For the next 45 days, keep one of those certified orders with you in any car that you operate, because that serves as your temporary driver's license for 45 days after the order's been signed. So that's why you get 2. You need to keep one of them with you at all times. After you've gotten that second, when you get the second occupation certified copy of your order, you need to mail it and the following other documents to DPS as soon as possible. So the certified copy of your petition, a certified copy of your order, a copy of your SR-22 form, a money order for the occupational driver's license fee. That's generally going to be $10 for a year-long license, $20 for a 2-year-long license. You can check DPS website for the current rates. And you need to write CCR code 0074, like on the memo line of your check or money order. And then in a separate check, money order or cashier's check, you need to include your reinstatement fee. And this amount, it's going to be listed in that screen we talked about earlier where you check your driver's license eligibility. There's some debate as to whether you need to put those 2 amounts together in one check or keep them separate in multiple checks. I do them separate. I've seen it where they do them together and it works out fine, but I've also seen it and heard tell of it where they do them in one cashier's check or money order and it gets rejected. So really you need to do them in 2 separate ones. You need to send all of these documents plus a cover letter requesting the issuance of your new occupational driver's license. So all those documents plus a cover letter explaining what all the documents are. You send that by certified mail, return receipt requested. And again, that's very important. Send it by certified mail, return receipt requested. And you want to send it to this address here, Texas DPS Driver Improvement and Control Occupational License Section, P.O. Box 15999, Austin, Texas 78761. That's the address you need to send this to. Keep a copy, make a copy of everything that you sent, that entire packet. Make sure you've got a copy of it for your records and in case you got to resend it. Sometimes stuff gets lost in the mail. That's why you want to get certified mail return receipt requested so that you know when they've got your packet. Real quick, there was used to be this form called SR 37. It doesn't exist anymore except in my records and in some other lawyers that have been doing this for a while. DPS no longer propagates this form. They don't really use it anymore. And it doesn't appear that they require it anymore. I send it on every one of my clients. It's pretty quick to fill out, and you know, my thinking on it's better safe than sorry. You know, look at it. It's a real small form. You just throw it in there, you know, fill out your particulars. The reason I say go ahead and do it is because I've seen instances where that wasn't included and the driver's license doesn't get issued. Now, did they not issue it because of that? I don't know, but I've never sent one of those in and the DL didn't get issued. So I would go ahead and use it. These are some helpful links. Some of them we talked about already. TexasLawHelp.org has a really useful how-to guide, and it's got some useful fill-in-the-blank forms for your petition and your order. I recommend using those forms. They're pretty good. I've looked through them, and they cover all your bases. Texas.gov/driver-services. This is the Texas government's driver services hub. You can get to a lot of these links that we're talking about through that website alone. Next one, texasapps.texas.gov, et cetera, et cetera. That's where you get your online driving records. The next one's where we check our driver's license eligibility. The next two, DPS has their own how-to guide and frequently asked questions page about occupational driver's licenses that you can always, you know, look at theirs to get it kind of from the horse's mouth. And they have the addresses you can send stuff to on there as well. So that's all I have for y'all right now. And we'll stop the screen sharing. And so, you know, if anybody's got any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Lay them on me. Anybody there?
Mr. Hagan, I don't see that there are any questions in our Facebook Live comments, and there are no questions here in our Zoom chat box. I want to say that this has been an amazing presentation, very informational, and it will be on our Facebook Live page. And I'm sure that there will be more people that will take a look at it in the weeks to come. And we want to say thank you so very much for coming and being a presenter for us this afternoon.
Absolutely. Happy to help.